So one thing that stood out to me throughout the presentations was the importance of creating an environment in which students can grow and develop various skills. And this can be done best in a medium teacher-controlled classroom, as students have more opportunities to learn how to control their own behavior rather than being forced to behave or given total freedom without guidance. I really liked what Emily said, that medium teacher control incorporates the best of the low and the best of the high control environments, because it does have a good balance of utilizing logical consequences to guide students to develop better behavior, but then also gives students choices in creating the consequences and rules that they feel are the most important. And so this is important because it ties into creating democracy in the classroom and helping students to develop their voice and their ability to manage themselves. And so with democracy in the classroom, I loved what Ariana said about giving students voices and choices. I think that the main idea behind having a democratic classroom is to help students to develop lifelong skills of being a democratic citizen, which will prepare them for their futures in our democratic society. And so to do this, it's so important to give students opportunities to share their individual opinions and perspectives so they can see the value in their personal ideas and have experience sharing them confidently. And sharing responsibilities with students and making the classroom a cooperative environment is key to create opportunities for this sharing and development to happen. One thing that was very important that stood out to me with formative measures was the concept that you should be firm with the rules and consequences that you set, or else they'll become meaningless to students. And so while being firm, you also need to be kind and not harsh though, so that positive rapport can still be maintained with students. And so this is done by having clear expectations, rules, and consequences and procedures set from the beginning so that students know what is expected of them and can choose to follow that. And I think this relates to having a democratic classroom too, because students should be given choices and a voice in creating the rules and consequences that will be enforced in the class in order to help them feel accountability and ownership in following them. And then one of the most important things that was talked about with regards to intervention was that consequences should be logical and should move gradually up a scale of intensity with the principle of least intervention. And so this idea of logical consequences came up a few times throughout different sections, as it ties into creating a learning environment where students feel safe and trusted, because when logical consequences are given, students don't feel attacked. This is also why it's important to remain calm when you give consequences. And so delivery is key in order to keep relationships with students positive, so that they want to listen to you still and respect you as they see that you care about them. With the learning environment, I think that Hannah put it very well when she said that the learning environment is one of the most important things to focus on in your classroom, because everything else is impacted by it. And so throughout the presentations, it was mentioned in each of the categories as a contributing factor to everything else running smoothly. I think that one of the most important parts of creating a positive learning environment is to have a clear method for organizing your classroom. And so this applies to physical organization with how the room, like desks and cubbies and chairs, are arranged. Then also emotional organization. So if a student is struggling emotionally or needs some space socially, making sure there's a place for them that they can go and they can feel safe, like a calm corner. And psychologically, rules and procedures should also be organized so that students know what's expected of them and they can feel safe in the classroom. And with that, then everything else should flow within the classroom to make managing the classroom an effective and efficient process. And so, drawing from what was shared at the town hall meeting today and what I felt was most important from each of the sections, in my future classroom, I want to create an environment where students can grow and develop in not just their knowledge, but also in the life skills that they have. So to do this, I will utilize medium teacher control theories so that I will involve my students in making decisions about rules and consequences, and will guide my students to develop skills of self-management. And by holding regular classroom meetings and even daily morning meetings, I also help students to become more democratic as they have opportunities to take responsibility and feel trusted as they make choices for themselves. And this will improve the rapport that I have with my students as they see that I trust them, which, along with the clear expectations and procedures we set together, will prevent a lot of misbehavior from happening. And whenever something does happen, the consequences have already been communicated, so they'll be logical to use. And of course, I'll follow the principle of least intervention that was talked about, moving gradually from situational assistance to mild and then moderate. So a student who's getting distracted by a toy, I would just remove the toy. There's no need for anything harsher, but if they react negatively, then it would move up in intensity. So it'd be logical. And having that positive report in place will also help to make this a smooth and logical process. And organizing the classroom so that students can be independent, like having shelves at their reaching height and a variety of books for them to choose from when it's reading time, giving them opportunities to work together, so making the seating arrangements in small groups that allow for both individual and group work and space for me to assist when needed, will help to develop both their independence and the classroom unity, which are important life skills. And those are my thoughts.